All right, man. Welcome to the Nathaneal Podcast. Today, we have a special guest. The reason why this podcast actually was created, my good friend and former mentor, Jack Moses. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, man. Yeah, I'm excited to do this again. I know we tried to record like 5 months ago, but it didn't work. So here we are, 5 months later, probably much different people in much different situations and circumstances. So it's all in perfect timing. Like this will probably be more exciting than the first one.
Yeah, dude. Like before, we the questions that I had in my mind was more like business centered, but after you know, the journey that we've gone through, dude, I'm very interested in your journey right now because I looked at your profile and it was so interesting. You talk a lot about, hey, I'm Jack, I'm a writer, creator, athlete, educator, this and that. And then you mentioned, I can't actually put a finger on who I am because it's like, how did you say it? Like something, we're always in the natural state, something like that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah,
Because it's really an interesting bio.
yeah, this was my website about me section, and it is quite an interesting about me section. But I think I said something along the lines of human beings in our natural state are not meant to be put in a box. And it's funny because I think this topic came up on our first podcast with Naval saying specialization is for insects. So as human beings, we're so multifaceted and we can be so diverse. Some people more than others. I've realized more about myself recently, and even in the last 12 hours, which is funny timing, that I'm a massive generalist. And I was going a little bit into something called human design, which is basically a personality profile based on many different things from like astrology to different things with the stars and planetary systems. And I learned that I'm a manifesting generator, which means that I am good at juggling multiple things and switching between many projects and thinking big and being creative and being visionary. But I struggle when I try to confine myself down to one thing at a time and focusing on the details. So that bio encapsulates that personality that I have of being somebody who likes to jump around and likes to have a lot of things in motion at once. It keeps it exciting for me, or else I just get bored.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like most people in business, like it's often said niche down, and that's the way that like you'll be successful. But for you, actually, and this is what you said to me before as well during our programs, like you kind of didn't. You even told me don't put ghostwriter in your bio. Like you tell people you don't need to put writer. The most successful writers actually don't put it. They just put like
Mm.
who they are. Where do you think like this philosophy? Well, apart from Naval, like is that something that was also apparent when you were younger, or how did you come across this?
Yeah, so how did I come across the philosophy of don't define who you are? I think defining who you are can be perfectly okay. And from a business
Yeah,
standpoint, it could be actually really smart, right? They say like the riches are in the niches, right? That's one of those things, and I agree.
yeah,
However, where I've come to recently is the realization that I'm not business first. Business is something I do, but it's
mm,
not who I am, and so I don't want to define myself by it. I came to a realization this summer that really who I am, and this is more so for me to remind myself of when I start to get into like a scarcity or business focused mindset, is I'm actually like meant to be on this earth as a spiritual teacher, but I'm just disguising myself as an entrepreneur. And the projects and businesses I build are done from that lens of raising collective consciousness and elevating individuals to higher levels of freedom. And so on the surface, it looks like I'm doing quote unquote business, but from my perspective, it's I'm carrying out what I believe is my life's purpose. So to answer your question more succinctly, it came back to me to realizing whenever I was doing something temporarily, it was almost like a fake thing I was doing. The balloons are popping up. Um, so, like when I was a ghostwriter, ghostwriter was kind of being a means to an end, right? It was like I can make money so I can leave college, so I can have more freedom, so I could pursue my highest potential. but I never wanted to define myself by as a ghostwriter because I felt like that would have limited the highest potential I could go for. And I always have maintained the mindset of like, all right, I'm 23 now. And especially in our early 20s, like the sky's the limit. Like our whole lives are in front of us. So something we're doing now, it's very likely that we might be pivoting multiple times throughout our 20s. And so there's another great article by Paul Graham. It's called um, what is it called? Keep Your Identity Small, I believe. It's called Keep Your Identity Small. And it's a really good article. Paul Graham is like a very successful venture capitalist. He's the founder of Y Combinator. And he talks about this idea of keeping your identity small and not defining yourself by a label. And so that, in addition to Naval, in addition to um, putting my own personal freedom and purpose before quote unquote business, were like the three reasons I'd say.
Wow, that's interesting. Something stood out to me there. What you mentioned, I think, dude, so funny because again, your journey, I kind of patterned. I think my journey to yours because the ghostwriter thing was also the same thing that I did. Like, ghostwriter was my way out of my night shift and my university, but going into the creator economy, like going into X, I just started like doing answering questions on Quora and reposting those answers on X. So like in the beginning, I was actually posting about masculinity, like some dating advice, even about like being fatherless and all that. So
Mm.
that's very interesting. Maybe like in the future, I might even go back to that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see. A lot of times, like our evolution in personal development works like a spiral. So there's a model in psychology called spiral dynamics, and it's kind of built on this idea by Ken Wilber about evolution. So what Ken Wilber talks about, he's like this philosopher. He says evolution transcends and includes previous stages. And so, like, let's say, as the example, stage one, Nathaniel was writing on Quora about masculinity and psychology and self-improvement. Level two, Nathaniel started writing on Twitter about ghostwriting and making a full-time income and quitting his job, etc. Right? So that's another level. The third level could, and this only will time will tell, but the third level could look something like transcending both of those stages. So like level one Nathaniel on Quora, level two Nathaniel on Twitter, and including both of them, like what is that intersection of these two stages of development into a third level that's higher than both. Um, so it could be really interesting to see. I guarantee it happens in some capacity. And I'm super excited to see how it develops.
Yeah, man. It also excites me because again, you also before were more into that, business mind, in a way, business entrepreneurship, creator economy. But now, like, you actually talk about, or you've built conscious creator, and I think it's a great idea. Like, I watched your video there, dude. When you talked about, it's a community where actually like people could kind of share their own courses, like snippets of what they can do, so that if they need a specialization, like they could go. Where did this idea like conscious creators come from?
Mm, it's a really good question. And yeah, just for some clarification, Conscious Creators is not fully ready in its fullest form. There's still a lot of
Right.
back-end things I have to do set up, but the vision's clear. So where did it come from? Mm, it came this summer, like in its fullest clarity, because I gave myself 2 or 3 months to step away from the entire creator economy. Like after June, after the cohort, which was the sovereign creator cohort, ended in June, and then I launched a course called Internet Freedom, which then became this community. Everything kind of built on top of each other too, which is cool in this game. So in starting in June, I booked a one-way ticket to Chiang Mai and I took 3 months away basically from the creator economy. And after about 2 months, I got on the phone with my great friend Tyler Ramez, Whiz of Copy on Twitter. Great guy. Always,
Yeah.
we've always been best friends. And I hadn't thought about the creator economy or business in legit 2 months. Like, dude, I was a backpacker. I was volunteering at a hostel. I was taking kids on bar crawls and adventure days around the city. Like I completely just surrendered into this season of being a normal dude and not thinking about the creator economy that allowed me to get to this place internally of pure playfulness and joy for life without the external achievements that I've been chasing for the past 2 years in the creator economy. So I stepped away, I forgot about it. I reached a higher internal vibration and playfulness inside of myself by doing things I loved all day. And then when I got on the phone with my friend Tyler a few months into this, of course, something we bond over, similar to ourselves, is like if we're getting on a call, we're going to talk about the creator economy, we're going to talk about business, we're going to talk about vision. And so, boom, now I'm back in a conversation about these topics I haven't talked about in 2 months, but I'm coming into the conversation with so much more playfulness and lightheartedness because I got to this place of like, oh, if I end up volunteering at this hostel for the next 5 years and not making a dollar and like giving up Twitter, I'm totally fine. Like, I would be so happy with this. So from that place of not needing it anymore, then a bigger vision emerged, a bigger playful vision emerged of like, holy shit, like I could create a school and it wouldn't just be about me. I can bring in all my friends across the creator economy with all these diverse interests into this one school. So that was one big reason, the ability to think bigger because I needed it less. And then there were also some other things this summer that clicked for me in terms of changing how I saw reality. Essentially, I'll sum it up like this. I'm writing a new newsletter about this. It should come out soon, I hope. But I before I left in the summer, I was dealing with this debate of there's two sides to Jack. There's the side of me that's very ambitious and entrepreneurial and wants to build things and want to create things. And then there's the side of me who wants to go travel and be free flowing and be spontaneous and be a hippie and be spiritual and these all these things. And I couldn't understand these two sides of myself. But through some experience this summer, like a Kundalini session, a tarot card reading, an LSD trip, like a lot of crazy things, those two distinctions collapsed into none. And I realized that it's all just an extension of me. And I realized, oh, I can just put all of my synthesized interests and connections within one school and still maintain all of the free flowing spontaneity that makes me me. So it's a combination of those things, getting clear on who I am and removing the distinction of my personalities and getting in the mindset of what could I create if it was purely play and purely fun and there was no pressure.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. I saw your story about this as well. You took a screenshot of your message. You said like you found something that you could do, you could imagine doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Because like for me, now it makes me realize, huh, am I doing things that I actually want to do for the rest of my life? Because if I'm not, like maybe my vision is too like short, and like I'm being
Mm,
short sighted. You know what I mean?
mm, yes. What part of it
Yeah.
feels like maybe you don't want to do for the rest of your life?
Well, I haven't thought about it too much, but that story that you sent really made me think like, huh, do I want to be like a ghostwriter for the rest of my life? Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, one thing for sure is that I like writing. That's why I was able to
Hmm.
do, the Quora thing, dude. That was for a month. I had no followers. No one was reading my shit. No one was seeing my shit. But I kept on doing it just because I enjoy writing. So that's one thing I know. I'll continue writing. But in terms of like vision, because right now I'm just thinking, okay, like revenue. Like we talked about this in the chat, right? I was just thinking, getting more clients, getting more revenue and all that. But is that really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Just like keep chasing a higher MRR. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that.
understand.
Mm, go ahead.
And sometimes I think that, and the same thing happened for me, you have to achieve what you think you wanted to achieve the life you think you wanted to realize, oh, wait, it's actually not everything that I wanted. So, like for us, it was both achieving the goal of making full-time income online so that we don't have to go to university, we don't have to work a 9 to 5 job, etc. And we can live wherever. That's so freeing and it's amazing and it's such a necessary step. But then for me, it started to feel empty of like, huh, like it feels like I'm kind of just on the treadmill. I'm not doing anything new. I'm not pursuing anything bigger. So Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely like a necessary stage of development, but there's a balance to it, right? Like sometimes in myself, I come so far off the practical path of like really like details and making money that I go so deep into the spiritual path that I neglect it. So I think there's a balance to it, but a good question to ask yourself is like, okay, if money were no object and like money didn't exist, what would I go create? What would I go want to bring into the world?
Huh. Yeah, that is something, dude. Because I feel like that really, your journey made me think of what I was doing in the beginning, where I was just writing for past Nathaniel. Because again,
Hmm.
like I didn't. I basically grew up without parents. I had to raise myself up, and so the things that I was writing on Quora was really my writing, like the things I wish someone would have told me when I was like 14, 15, 16.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I might go back to that.
yeah. I mean, does it sound exciting? Like, does it sound like, oh, that would be fun?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is exciting. I mean, in the future, one thing that I do want to do, and I'm sure about this, like even if I don't get money from it, is to just same as you, like build a school, but not a school, online school. It's more like, because in the Philippines, we're a third world country, and you know, one of the things I think is disadvantageous is not a lot of us know how to speak English. Like most of us are struggling to do that, and so
Hmm.
you know, having knowing English will give you so much opportunity that you can join creator economy, you can get all these jobs or whatever you want so that you can achieve your dream life. What I want to do is in the future create a school where it's actually just they have computers and the internet and be able to learn English as well. So that's one thing that I do want to pursue in the future, even without money. So that's for sure.
Yeah, that's so exciting. How long have you known about this or thought about this?
Like even before I went into the creator economy, like before I used to do 9 to 5, and then the course I was taking, the program I was taking in college was public administration. So like how the government runs, because I was supposed to do like lawyer and then run for politics. That was actually the plan. But
Wow.
it didn't come true, because one thing that I noticed was the politics, the government in the Philippines, it's very hierarchical, where it's actually hard. Like you need to be at the high level to have sovereign decisions. It's always like top down. And so
Hmm.
what I learned is that actually businesses have more power in a way, because they can, of course, they're under the law, right? But when you want a program to be implemented, all you need is the capital to fund it yourself, and then you can run a program. And that's why I started venturing into the business space, like aiming to make money and in the future doing that. So
Mm, that's so exciting. Yeah, and there's the balance too, because like to be able to build a project like that and bring it into the world, like one of the necessary ingredients is the capital to do it, right? So there's the balance of like, okay, you're in your early 20s, like there is a lot to be said about make all this money so then you can go put it into this big project that is really impactful for the world.
yeah. And I was actually thinking, it's like eventually those people, anyways, will participate in the creator economy, and they'll still might still need my help, and they'll buy my program, so win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like Alex
yeah,
Ramosi, dude.
right. It is. And I mean, why not think this big, right? Like think about how many, wait, how old are you? 21 or 22, right?
I'm 22. Yeah,
22.
I just turned
Imagine how
22.
many, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Imagine how many like let's say 18 to 25 even like 18 to 30-year-old people, kids in the Philippines could use your help and would want to create the same internet business and personal brand and online income stream and skill set that you have.
Yeah, man. It's really something that I think could help the Philippines, because you know, right now, again, we're in the third world country, so like but everyone has a phone. So I'm thinking, dude, if these people
Mm-hmm.
just know how to speak English, they could easily make money on X. Like that's literally what I did. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, so enough about me. I did want to talk about what you mentioned, your trip in Thailand, because that's, I think, what like really took you away from the creator economy so that you could have this vision, right? First of all, like what prompted you to go to Thailand, and like tell me more about the trip, man, because it is something that's like transformative for you.
Yeah. So what inspired the trip was I was playing around with this idea for a long time of seasonal living, right? Like we hear Dan Co pioneering the idea of the 4 hour workday and like having different seasons of your life, like going monk mode, going travel mode, whatever it was. And so I was like, we prioritize deep rest so much in the micro of the day to day, right? We want to be resting every day so that we can work and recover and be productive the next day. Why don't we also do this in the macro? And I was like, wait, professional athletes, they don't play 12 months a year. They play their sport like 8, 9 months a year, and then they go rest for 3 or 4 months, or they like work on a skill and they come back in the next year and they're better because they got time off and they got to work on their game. So I was playing around with the idea of like, maybe I'll try this where I work, quote unquote, like 8 or 9 months a year, and then I'll go travel like 3 months a year and have no plans, and then maybe go learn a new skill, or I'm gonna go become a yoga teacher or something like this. So these ideas were in my mind, and I was planning on going to Europe actually instead. I was planning on doing a solo Europe trip because I did Europe 2 summers ago, but I went with a friend and it was incredible. But I wanted to take the next step and go alone. But then I was sitting one day thinking, and like I I do this thing where I ask my subconscious questions before I go to bed, like in a journal, almost every night. And I was like, how should I think about money this summer? Because I didn't want to have to work, but I didn't want to like spend my entire bank account. So I was like, how should I think about money? And then I think the next night I asked myself, like, what do I actually want to do this summer? I wanted to meditate. I want to do yoga. I want to like deepen my spirituality. I want to go deeper into Buddhism and all this stuff. And it clicked that like, oh wait, I should go to Southeast Asia instead of Europe. It's way cheaper and it fits those desired topics much better. So once that idea was in my head, I was debating between like, okay, maybe I'll go to Thailand, maybe I'll go to Malaysia, maybe I think I was even thinking about going to Bali. Um, but ended up choosing Thailand. I feel like it chose me in a way because what happened was after I had that intention of I'm gonna go to Southeast Asia, I got a DM on Twitter. Some guy just like randomly sends me an article about Chiang Mai. I was like, that's interesting. And then I think the next night I was in an Uber in Austin, Texas, and the Uber driver starts telling me about how he lived in Chiang Mai for like 3 years. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. And then I think one other thing happened where Chiang Mai came into my awareness, and I was like, okay, that's 3 times. I'm just gonna take it as and go. And so I booked a one-way flight. I went there on June 12th, and I booked a one-way flight. I had like 4 or 5 days at a hostel booked, and then beyond that, it was a practice in surrender. It was a surrender experiment, um, and it was magical. But that's where it came from. It came from the desire that, maybe I could play around with not working 12 months a year and go see what the world has to offer. And then, yeah, it almost seemed like the universe conspired to bring the opportunity to me once I was open and ready to receive it.
That's beautiful, man. Like now I might consider that it's a very new perspective, you know, or yeah, like the having time off for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so like when you went to Thailand, is there any key moments that happened to you that like stuck out?
So many, so many moments. Wow. Like I could just rattle them off to you. Like probably 8 to 10 times I stayed up until sunrise dancing at raves, which was so fun. Like I never allowed myself to do that in my life. I ended up spinning fire in a circus, which was really fun. I ended up volunteering at the hostel, like I mentioned earlier. And yeah, riding motorbikes through the mountains. Like I just felt so free. I felt so free because I took every restriction off myself. Like And sometimes this dove too far into chaos, which I learned a lot of lessons. And then, okay, coming back to the middle way of both. But I took the restrictions off of like how I'm going to eat, smoking, drinking, and all, coffee, like all workouts, everything. I took all the restrictions off and said, okay, what happens if I don't have any restriction on myself and I don't have any schedule or any plan? And I ended up finding new parts of life and of myself that I just loved so much that now are going to be a big part of my life going forward. Like the music I found dancing till 8 a.m. at raves is now music that I'm playing. And it's all going to come together too, because a big vision with Conscious Creators, the school, is running festivals and retreats off of this school. And at these festivals, which they might be in Thailand, they might be in Austin, Texas, they might be in Europe, I want to DJ at the festival. And so it's like it all comes together. That's what I said earlier. Like it's all an extension of me. I don't have to compartmentalize my life. But I dove so deep into the chaos of things that I discovered these things about life that were just magical. So those were a few highlights. And I'm happy to dive into any of them deeper.
Dude, that's sick. Because like it sounds really like you just had fun when you went to Thailand. No, like no restrictions at all. Just let yourself
Yeah.
be free.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Like I allowed myself to have so much fun for the first time since I can remember. Because like the last 4 or 5 years or so, like ever since I got to
Mm,
college, it was always like,
yeah.
okay, be serious. Like you have to, like you have things to get done. Like you have somewhere to get to. And
Mm,
I basically was able to let all that go and just tap into the present moment, and it was beautiful.
that's beautiful, man. Because like as for me, I feel so excited to try that out too. Like in the future, I would want to have that moment of where I just go to a place and make free. So now I'm curious, like what did you say? What parts of you did you discover when you let yourself free?
Mm. I dipped deeply into the feminine side of myself. So even as men, we have like we all have masculine and feminine balances within us. Every human on the planet has a balance of both. However, for myself, and something I've discovered about myself is I actually have a very balanced essence. Like it's why I can connect on a deeper emotional level with both men and women. It's why if you see me dance or play basketball, I have more of a flowy nature to myself. Even you could see it reflected in my writing sometimes. Um, so I have this more feminine essence, and I had suppressed it for a long time. I had suppressed it since I was like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, because I became college football player and economics major, finance internship, then creator economy. So it was always like hyper masculine purpose, pursuit, progress, goals, etc. But I lacked playfulness in my life. I lacked like being able to like say, okay, I don't need to do anything business wise. I'm going to go in my room and play music for 3 hours. Like I would never have done that. Now I have no problem doing it. It's so fun. But what happened for me was because I was suppressing the feminine side within myself, the desire to be spontaneous, to be carefree, to be playful, etc. That energy was leaking out into different forms of escapism. So because I was so like restrictive on myself within my masculine energy of I need to be so on my purpose and so structured and organized and disciplined and on this schedule and in my systems, the moment that that would go away. Like if it became like a Saturday night or something, all I would want to do would be like, I want to escape into weed, I want to escape into video games, I want to escape into food, etc., etc., etc. So because I lacked the true balance that my soul was desiring, I was escaping into things to fill that void of the lack of feminine energy that I was allowing myself to experience. So the biggest thing I experienced this summer was dipping so deep into that side of myself and what's funny is I ended up losing 20 pounds this summer, like without trying or restricting myself. I ended up writing more than I've ever wrote in my life. without restricting myself or putting myself on a schedule and just allowing myself to flow. So
Mm.
I discovered the power of, as a man, dipping into your feminine energy and learning how to healthily integrate it into our lives. And so now I'm very excited to bring those lessons into like the retreat that we're running in Austin, right? Like, how can we bring playfulness into this experience? Because from that place of heightened playfulness, a bigger vision can emerge, like it did for me with Conscious Creators and the festivals and all of that. So, yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for like bringing that up out of me. That's fun.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, right now I'm just really curious about you because, like, you're. I feel like you're in a place that I would wish I would be because right now I'm in, monk mode, as
Hmm.
people would say. Because like right now I'm still not out of the grind because I have, I invested a lot in courses and coaches, and so like money that I didn't even have, I was like I did payment plans and all that just to make things work, and so right now I'm still paying those bills and I'm still catching up, and I just like I was earning 400 per month right now, so I'm just trying to what's this? I'm still trying to be free in a way, but
Hmm.
like hearing you talk about these things makes me see like I'm not in a super shitty situation because that could also be my future. I might also have the opportunity to like let go of myself because I really relate to what you said about you know disciplining yourself, having this vision, like purpose, 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 and I do have those tendencies of scrolling through my phone after like work, and then after I work so hard, I would scroll through my phone for 2 hours, like YouTube Shorts. I wouldn't even notice I would just
Hmm.
scroll through it. And so it's really powerful, man. I also another reflection I made. So I have a girlfriend right now. Before I had my girlfriend, um, I was always that like focus, 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 disciplined guy. And dude, I was bad at talking to people. Like I was rude. But when
Yeah.
I met my girlfriend and she loosened me up a bit, I became more conversational. Like I actually became more of a man, I would even say, because I
Hmm.
became understanding to people, all that. So that's a reflection that I wanted to put out there with the feminine stuff.
Yeah, that's great. And like, it's funny how you say I became more of a man, or I feel like more of a man by opening myself up to the world and opening my heart up to talking to people, right? Like, we have this idea of what masculinity is, of like, it is the guy who takes no bullshit and like you can't even contact him and he's so focused on his goals. But to me, like, many of the most masculine men I've met are the ones who are open-hearted and can be vulnerable and will take the time to have a conversation with somebody. So, yeah, it's cool that you're experiencing that. And it's also cool that your girlfriend kind of brought that out of you in some way too.
Yeah, like I noticed a lot when I dated her, dude. I became just cool. I felt cool, man.
That's
Like,
awesome.
dude, I don't even know how to explain it, but before, because I would think of myself as like all my life I've been insecure and I thought of myself as a loser. But when I had like my girlfriend now, I felt like a big dog, man. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyways,
You have
dude,
to clip that and
you
show
did
it to
talk.
her.
He's right. She's right there. She's
Right
she's
there.
right there. Actually, she's here.
That's awesome.
Anyways, you did mention about what's this retreats. I'm curious. Like, is that something that you already thought about when you were thinking of creator school, or is that just a new thing again? Because you just announced it recently, actually. I think.
Yeah, so it all ties in. So the vision and the clarity on the creator school was that it can also be an in-person thing too, because I realized the
Mhm.
power of in-person connection, especially this summer traveling in Thailand, volunteering at that hostel, and like I was leading breath work, I was leading meditation circles, I was leading ice baths, and I was really seeing the power of, wow, I love doing this in-person work and it's so powerful for people. And so I don't have to just be the online creator economy guy. I can also bring things in person too. So they all kind of came together at the same time. Now, in terms of order of importance, like the retreat is in motion. So we're just working on like a landing page and things like that. But everything is set up and ready to go. And then, yeah, the school is the other priority right now in terms of like what's going to be built next. And then what's exciting too is like once that those containers are set up, like once the container of the school is set up, okay, now like people can come into this container for the next 10 years. And the
Mm.
philosophy of the school and the retreat is that like it's an open playground and an open container for people to come into and explore their curiosity and connect with other people and actualize their highest potential. It's less of I feel like many programs in the creator economy and online business are very like hold your hand, like here's the how-to step.
Right.
This is more of an open box where you come in and you play around and you get what you want.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Sounds fun, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. It sounds fun. And the clarity for it came actually at one of these raves in Thailand. So there was this facility. It's called Dreamscape. And basically what they had was they had a huge like dome structure for people to do ecstatic dances. They had a huge stage where people could be playing music and singing and dancing and exploring. And they also had like another huge area for connection and conversations. And it clicked in that moment like, oh, the people here, like they're not persuading anybody to join. They're not persuading anybody to come. They created an epic playground and invited people to come in and play. And in that state of playfulness, people become more expansive, they become more free, they become more authentic, they become their fullest selves. And so seeing that was a big thing for me of like, oh, the school I want to create is a very similar uh philosophy to this. It's an open playground for people to come in and learn and then explore and self-actualize. Same with the retreats. It's all tied in.
That's beautiful, man. Right now, I'm thinking about it. But one thing, and the reason why I said it's beautiful is actually for me. For some reason, I get kind of scared. Like I don't like this is just an observation on what I'm feeling right now. It's like when you talk about being able to explore. A part of me just at this moment, imagining it, was kind of scared, and that's probably why like a lot of programs in the creator economies hold your hand because that's when we're in the unknown, don't we like someone to hold our hand and bring us to the other place, right? Like the transformation. What would you say to people who feel like the same way as I did earlier,
Mm.
being scared of the unknown?
Yeah, it's a huge talking point, and it's a big thing that will form the foundation of the philosophy of the school is like the unknown is all that actually exists, right? There's nothing to cling on to. And this ties deeper into like the spiritual path and Buddhism, like all is impermanent. You cannot attach yourself to anything, etc. But every time, like, it's a really good question. So to become truly self-sovereign, I believe in anti-fragile, as like Nicholas Nassim Taleb would say, you have to learn to walk the path yourself. You have to become the type of person that, no matter the circumstances, can fend for themselves and make a living and survive and create a career themselves that's independent to them. So, a big thing about this school is like, we want to help people unlock in them a creative career in the throughout the internet that cannot be put into a box, that cannot be prescriptionized or told, like, here's how to become a ghostwriter in 30 days, because it's so tied into the philosophy of human potential and self actualization. Your highest potential exists outside of any of these defined boxes that can be given
Right.
how to steps of how to get there. So,
Mm.
the inverted thinking here is, let's use yourself for example. What we would want to do is give you all the information synthesized, right? Because it could be information overload. Let's give you the synthesized gold or the knowledge that will allow you to expand into the highest version of yourselves and also equip you with the skill sets and the tech skills and the skill set and the online business principles, etc., so that by
Mm.
becoming your highest, most unique self, you can create your own unique, independent career.
Yeah, that makes sense. For some reason, it kind of reminds me of Naval Ravikant, like specialized knowledge. I think that's what he calls it, where it's like when it's something. I seem to forget what he called it. I'm not sure if it's specialized knowledge, but he said a specific kind of knowledge that if you can teach it, then that means it's not a specialized knowledge or something like that.
Yeah,
Am I
specific
saying this right?
knowledge. Yeah,
There's specific knowledge, not specialized.
yeah, yeah, it's exactly right. He's like, specific knowledge cannot be taught in a book or in a course. It can only be acquired
Yeah,
by doing it, or like a direct mentorship program. Um, but yeah, that like Naval's philosophy forms a big foundation of where the seed of this idea for the school came.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like he's actually the topic that we talked about before. So speaking of like the past, I did want to ask you, like, if you were face to face with Jack Moses, like a couple of months ago before you went to the strip and you found this transformation, what would you have told him? Like, how would you talk to your past self?
Like May, April self.
Yeah, something like that.
I would just say like it's all unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. Like it's always been that way too. You just can't see it sometimes. And I'd even say this to myself right now because
Hmm.
I'm having this huge pivot right now where I'm restructuring everything. The school is new and it's being built. The retreats are new and it's being built. The festivals are new and they're being built. So like all my life is rearranging itself basically. And there is uncertainty that arises right now because I'm not making money via ghostwriting. I'm not making money via creator coaching cohorts right now. And
Hmm.
that uncertainty comes into like, oh fuck, like should I go get a ghostwriting client just because like it make me feel more secure? And like literally, I woke up, that thought is in my mind, which is crazy. And so what I tell myself back then and what I tell myself now is you just can't see how it's unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. I'm reading a book
Hmm.
called I Can See Clearly Now by Wayne Dyer. He's like this amazing writer, this spiritual teacher, and the whole book is from the perspective of now he's like 75 years old and he's telling the story of his life and he ends each chapter with I can see clearly now, like why exactly what was happening, even when in the moment it seemed like fear, it seemed like scarcity, it seemed like he couldn't understand. So I tell myself that 3 years ago, I tell myself that 5 years ago, and I tell myself that yesterday. Like it's if we could zoom out to the perspective of our entire lives, our 80-year-old selves, and see the entire story, we would know that oh, it's actually all perfect right now. We're just wasting energy being scared about it.
Worrying about it, huh?
Yes.
All right. So, one thing I like to ask my guests is if I could have asked one question throughout this conversation, what would it have been, and how would you have answered it?
Wait, if I could have asked a question?
If I could have like, if I could ask one question that you wished I asked, what would it
Ah,
have been, and how would you answer
that's a good one. You have me stuck.
it?
Something along the lines of like, what's your life's purpose? That's what topic I've been very interested in right now. Um,
Okay.
and for us young entrepreneurs, it's sometimes hard to see that. But I'll give you mine in a few sentences, and then I'm curious what you think yours is at this current stage. Well, of course, keeping it open to iteration and evolution. But I believe why I came to this earth, why I was put on this earth, was to be this vessel for creating schools, books, festivals, retreats, and other projects to help individuals actualize their highest potential. And I think my unique gift is being able to see the potential within somebody else, even before they can see it, and create a vision with them to unlock that highest potential. So that's a topic that is like so close to my heart. It's like that's the core of who I am. So that's where the question came from. But yeah, I'm curious for you. Like right now at this current stage, what do you feel this life's purpose is?
So before I answer that, I did want to say, like, I know that's your core because you said that before, dude. Like, I think we got
Yeah,
on the call
probably.
and you said you told the exact same thing. But for me, the first thing that pops in my head when I think of life's purpose is to just like, because again, when I was a kid, so this is rooted on like my past. I didn't have any guidance. I had to figure everything out, and I had to like see what works and what doesn't. And I feel like specifically like fatherless young men or you know people, they I feel like I could be that role model in a way, that father figure. Now I'm not saying I'm gonna be the machismo kind, but like that guiding hand that I wish I had in a way. I think that probably would be my purpose, because right now I have like young men go up to me and ask me for tips on writing, and I'm quite happy to give it to them free, because I know how it feels like in their positions, especially like people from third world countries. So yeah,
Mm,
that's probably it.
amazing. Yeah, and I could tell that's close to your heart too, because it seems like that's a theme that comes up over and over and over again. Even when we had our
Yeah,
first call, like maybe it was in March or something, March or April, like 6, 7 months ago, I think you said nearly the same thing. So there's something there for sure. And I see it for
yeah,
sure.
appreciate you, man. So where can people find you, and do you have any future, like other than the retreat? I know you're gonna have a retreat soon in Austin, Texas, right? Any other
Hmm.
announcements, anything you want to like talk about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me. This was fun. I haven't done a podcast in a long time, so it was good to catch up, and it's always fun talking. And I'm glad this one actually worked, so that's good. But yeah, you can find me primarily on X, Jack Moses Zero. Also Instagram, I'm more active on now is Jack Moses Zero. And then yeah, some things that are coming up are Austin, Texas Men's Life's Purpose Retreat, similar to that last question, funny enough. November 21 to 24. And you can find information about that in the pinned tweet on my Twitter, or if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter. That'd be awesome. Other than that, Conscious Creators is a school that the doors are going to officially open January 2025. The target date is January 7th, so we'll see how that manifests. But that school, if you join before January 7th, you're also going to get lifelong access if you sign up for the entire first year. So this is a vision that I feel I'm going to be building for the next 25 years. And so if you want to be a part of that vision for the next 25 years and you just want to pay $2,000 upfront and say, I never want to pay again, we invite you to join. I think it's going to be a really incredible school. I think it's going to be an incredibly transformational school. Other than that, there are other things like in the works, but with books and festivals and things like this, but I'll keep those out for now. The two primary things are the retreat and the school, and then the other things will be priorities later. But thank you for giving me the chance to speak on these things. My man, I think you're muted.
Us talking. Anyways, I appreciate you sharing this as well, because dude, I follow your journey, and I do believe that you're really one of the authentic creators that really just follows their curiosity. So I really enjoy following your journey, man. And I was glad that I was able to learn from your mentorship and your cohort.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and I'm glad you joined, and I'm glad we got the chance to become friends, and I'm glad to see the progress and rapid evolution that you've made in the last 6 months. Like when you joined the program, I think you were still working the night shifts. And like that was the
Yeah,
big
dude.
thing to overcome. And then now you're like full-time ghostwriter. It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. It's insane. It really is. Your program was the first one actually that I bought ever. So you're the first creator economy program that I bought, and all went uphill from there. Like it all went good.
That's
Anyways,
great,
thanks
man.
for hopping in,
That
man.
makes me very happy. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, dude. Bye.
All right, talk soon. Peace.